Okay guys, hey, what's up? So today we're back with some more Stormbound, and today we're going to be talking about the top 10 worst cards in this game. Absolute bottom of the barrel here. We did the best 10 cards a while ago, like a long time ago, but yeah, today we're going to be going over the top 10 worst cards. So, let's get right into this, and I just wanted to say, if you guys like what you see, if you guys enjoy this video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're almost at 100, so it'd be pretty cool if you did. You don't have to, of course, but I'm playing hard to get. But anyways, let's get right into this. This list isn't going to be any particular order. I believe the top few are going to be ordered, and there's a general sort of order to it, but it's not very strict at all. There's definitely some wiggle room between some of the lower levels. So, yeah, let's get right into this. Okay, number 10 is going to be Emerald Towers. So, the buildings and structures in this game are insane. Like, seriously, like Dr. Mia, they synergize so well together. Ironclad is one of the best factions, right? Or actually, it might be the best faction at the highest level in Heroes League, at least. Just because of how good structures are. Or not just because, but, it's definitely a part of it. But yeah, I mean, they're very good, but Emerald Towers just isn't. I mean, I used this early game, and even then I found it underwhelming. It takes an entire turn to set up. It does cost 4 mana, which is a bit high, and even though mine is only level 1, it is still very underwhelming. It does require you to set units up in columns, which isn't the worst setup, but yeah, Zuri, Lord of Life, is just straight up going to outclass it 99% of the time. It has that additional vitality effect. It's just better most of the time. And even if you're not running Swarm, there are other much better ways to use buildings to get strength. Fortification Tonic alone, like 3 mana, and maybe Unstable Build or Fort of Even Rock is probably going to be a lot better than Emerald Towers, especially since you can do it in one turn. But yeah, number 10 on this list just because it does have a use and it can stack very well, and I have seen it played like pretty scarily on some winter decks. So yeah. Okay, number 9 is going to be Excited Mousers. So this card, there's a post on Reddit saying that no one understands what this card is. It just makes you confused. It doesn't make anyone else confused. It's way too situational. So cats really aren't that good. And I am gonna say, like, I have tried to make this list quite varied. If I did want to, I could probably just put all the cats on this list and call it a day. And like there'd be some argument, but they're not very good. But yeah, I did try to keep it varied. And I think either this or the other cat is probably the worst one among them. Oh god, among us. But this one just takes the cake just because of how situational it is. You need to have a bunch of troops set up, and even though that is kind of common, confusion only lasts one turn, and if you want to get some setup with this, then it's a lot easier just to use the one that automatically confuses no matter what. Confuses all the units in front. There are just better ways to do it, like Fluffy Bad Boxers, and really, even though it is 3 mana, it's also 0 movement speed, which makes it, not the best card for this. But overall, not too bad of a card. Okay, coming in at number 8 is going to be Stoic Protectors. Okay, so this is one of the new cards. I definitely think this card has uses, and I definitely think someone can also make a really good case for this card being pretty good, but it's 0 movement speed, and while disabling an ability is pretty good, it's not too worth it, especially with the buff to freeze doing that already. You kind of don't need it anymore. It kind of came at a really bad moment, but Elders, it's really good for neutralizing Elders. It's really good for neutralizing attacking cards, but a lot of units have their abilities on play, so it's just not that good. And it would be kind of cool if it could disable your own abilities, right? Like green prototypes or cards with drawbacks like Restless Goats would have been really good if you could pull this off, but yeah, it just doesn't work very well in the context of the meta. Okay, coming in at number 7 is going to be Petrified Fossils. Okay, so this card is just outclassed by Forgotten Souls. I mean, it's just straight up better. Forgotten Souls is 3 mana, has 1 movement speed, it has pretty much everything that Petrified Fossils has, except it's way more consistent. It isn't based on strength. The only reason you're going to be using like a command move is to rush the base, right? You're going to need a lot of strength to pull that off to, do so much damage. And the fact that Petrified Fossils doesn't have that much strength for being 5 mana, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Yeah, just use Forgotten Souls. Okay, coming in at number 6 is going to be Wetland Deceivers. Bro, this card doesn't have any use. Okay, like, I think this might be, like, a contender for some of the worst, like, one of the worst designed cards in the game. What is the purpose of this? It's like a 3-mana Bladestorm, but it's so much worse than Bladestorm. It only does one, like seriously, they were like, hey, you know, some dev on Stormbound Kitty was like, hey, I don't like Azure Hatchers. Let's make a card that only counters Azure Hatchers. Like, that's it. And maybe Rain of Frogs, but it's just not that useful. It doesn't have 1 movement speed. It is very cheap though, so 3 mana, it's got that going for it, but other than that, yeah, like, it doesn't have that much use. Just use Bladestorm for like an extra 2 mana, and you get a ton of extra damage on troops that aren't 1 strength. I mean, like, damn, he buffs anything like a little bit, and you just can't do it anymore. It just doesn't have a purpose. It's not even strong on its own either. It doesn't have that much base strength. So, yeah, this is coming in at an easy number 6. It might even be higher, but you know, I think the other cards are just a bit worse than it. Okay, number 5, a card that I actually thought was really cool when it first came out, and one that I was looking forward to, Tree of Life. Yeah, Vitality isn't that good. It's only an extra 1 strength. Like, really, I guess maybe, like, in terms of buffing, it's extraordinarily weak. Tree of Life, I just don't get it. Or Temple of Life, Tree of Life, I don't know, it's a big ass tree. It looks so cool. I think they should, like, done something better with it. Maybe like a weakened version of a upgrade point, you know, for neutral units, but maybe that would have been a bit too broken. But yeah, I don't think Vitality, especially since it doesn't vitalize everything in the surrounding area. It only vitalizes a couple of random units, so yeah, it's just not that great. Okay, now coming at number 4 is going to be something that I actually might argue in place of it being a bit higher. Boomstick Officers. So, like, this card is only here just because I genuinely don't understand its purpose, and I've never seen it used before. I have seen one guy pull it off, and he pulled it off well, but still. So it's got a decent strength to mana, okay strength to mana ratio. But really, in order to activate this ability, you have to place it in front of a unit, and then it'll do damage to the unit behind it, which doesn't make much sense. I mean, like, if you're in a spot where you're going to be defending, you're going to want to just place your 1 movement speed units, like, directly attacking those units. You don't want to place a unit in front of it and then have it deal damage behind. It's just very niche, and I don't understand the purpose of it. 1 movement speed is pretty good though, and it's got okay strength, so I guess if you have, you know, like a 3 to 4 strength unit just sitting on your base, or so yeah, sitting right before your base, then I guess it could be useful. But really, it doesn't happen that often where you would use this card over just, you know, anything else, like Gifted Recruits or Westwind Sailors. Okay, coming in at number 3. Okay, so number 3 was actually a pretty contested spot. There are a ton of these just high mana, high cost, high strength units. You know, Operators, Calming Spirits, Seasick Bouncers, and I'm gonna give this to Calming Spirits. Operators, while costing 1 extra mana, also has 1 movement speed, and I use Operators unironically on my Ironclad deck. I actually think it's pretty fun to use, and it does have its purpose. But Seasick Bouncers also does synergize really well with Pirate decks, or it doesn't synergize that well, but at least it's useful in the Pirate Brawl, where, you know, if it gets a buff to movement speed, it's actually insane. But yeah, calming spirits, Frostlings don't synergize well together. They don't have any abilities that go well together, and it's just a really strong unit that doesn't have any movement speed. I mean, you might as well use Lady Rhyme. At least Lady Rhyme has 1 movement speed and it's pretty strong. So yeah, I mean, I don't really understand the point of this card at all, and I think it's strictly outclassed by a bunch of others. So yeah, 7 mana is just too high. It's a shame, but yeah, that's how it is. Okay, coming in at number 2. Okay, you probably saw this one coming. He's the laughing stock of the Stormbound community. Heroic Soldiers, just use fluffy bad boxers. Like, seriously, like, bro, like, just use them. I don't really understand the purpose of anything else, but yeah, that's pretty much it. He's a common. Fluffy bad boxers is a rare. It doesn't work out that way. Rares and commons scale at pretty much the same rate, so, you know, no real point. But yeah, oh well. And okay, before we get to our number 1 slot, I'm going to talk about some honorary mentions. So, I wanted to talk about some cards that just didn't make the cut and aren't actually useless, but might be perceived as useless by some. Personal Servers, I just think is straight up underrated. I actually think it's not that bad. It's a low cost neutral card, and it's got 1 movement speed. It gives a ton of, or not too much strength, but it gives strength, and I've seen it used before to great effect. Another card is being Lich Summoners, one of my personal favorite cards. I remember when this thing was 6 mana. This thing was insane. I used to love that. I had this at level 3, like right in like Gold League or something, or maybe Silver League, I think, and it was so amazing. And then they kind of nerfed it, buffed it. It's 4 mana now, so that is kind of cool. 8 strength, 4 mana, but it's basically an Elder at this point without the Elder category. So yeah, it does respond well to buffing, but it's just not that good anymore. But still my favorite, or still one of my favorites, and still it's okay. It's okay. I definitely think it's going to be a lot better in the earlier leagues for being one of those cards that's just pretty good. Okay, and finally, a card that I used to hate and definitely would have had a spot on this list if it weren't for this one guy, Flood the Gates. This card, okay, so this card, the way that I feel about this card is, if you're already in the point where this card is useful, right? Like, people have flooded your front line and you can't place troops anymore, so you need to put this down. Like, you're already dead at that point. You're gonna put it down, you're gonna kill all those troops, and then he's just gonna fill it up again. But funnily enough, this works super well on winter decks, like hard stall. I mean, like, no one likes the archetype, so it doesn't come up that often, but people have used this, and I got hard countered by this card once. Holy shit. And it is actually 4 mana. It's surprisingly cheap, and it ended up doing like a ton of damage for the cost, so actually not that bad when you think about it. Alright, finally, the number 1 worst card. You probably saw where this was coming from. It's Rogue Sheep. What the hell, you guys? Why is he a legendary? Like, seriously, I do not understand this card. Nobody does. Nobody does. No one understands this card. Why does he exist? Why does he cost so much? Why does he have 0 movement speed and 3 strength? Why do I have him at level 3? I seriously believe that this card was intended just to be a sink, just so they could be like, hey, you got a legendary? Too bad, it's Rogue fucking Sheep. So now you gotta go spend fusion stones to actually get the legendaries you want. And I'm sitting here like, bro, just use Bladestorm. Just use the god, what is it called? I forgot what it's called. Victors of the Melee. Just use literally any other card besides this one. The only reason you would want to use this is on a pirate deck, and even then it's not that good. Even then, like, it's just straight up outclassed by so many other cards. Like, I don't understand it. This is made all the worse by the fact that they made it a legendary. Well, I don't know why it's legendary. It doesn't even have a good design. It doesn't look good. It looks fucking garbage. He's a weirdo sheep guy. I'm like, bro, this is stupid. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. He does like 1 to 2 damage, maybe. I believe there was a time when they just straight up glitched him out and no one noticed because no one used the card, so it didn't go fixed for like a while. But anyways, yeah, I don't like this card. I just don't think it's very good. I don't think anyone thinks it's very good. But yeah, it's going to take my cake for the worst card in Stormbound as of right now. Hopefully it gets buffed to the moon and back, because it's going to need it. But anyways, yep, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any disagreements or, thoughts about this list, then be sure to leave them down in the comments. What's your top 10 worst cards, or cards that maybe you think are better than I gave them credit for? I'm definitely open to suggestions and new information, so anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.